Folks, welcome back. We are on our series here with our friend and yours, the friend of the channel, the friend of Philadelphia, Aaron Humphrey. Now, Aaron ran for city council, right? Last year. So that was recently, right at the end of 2023. And we're at the beginning, almost in spring, right at the end of March in 2024 as the filming of this, as per the recording. So just tell me some of your experience. You ran for city council. When can you run again?
Okay,
please.
well, first goes back to New York City. In New York City, I was a community activist. It's an association president of my building, which had 225 apartments, 775 tenants, if not more, 26 stories, and then it was public housing. And you had a building right next to two other buildings across the street from it that also had, my building was state funded, the other two were city funded, that had a total of probably like 1,500. So altogether, you had a total of like nearly close to 2,000 people. Mm-hmm. And I was one of the TA presidents, one of the leaders over there. And I became so good that later on I joined different political clubs. You go from grassroots, then to mainstream, then they polish you up and actually go to different political clubs, dinners, or these different not-for-profit dinners and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Then you meet bigger wigs over there. Then they put you on community boards, which you represent certain districts of the city and certain committees and stuff. Then that's when you're really on your way to politics. And then I became a campaign manager. I was ready to throw my hat in the race, but I said, let me first see how it is by, being a campaign manager and give a little tryout there. I took a candidate that was having a problem with her campaign manager, and he ended up quitting. And she came to me. I knew her from before, and I said, you know what? Why not? I have a reputation here now. I have a lot of favors that owe to me. I've been on the board for over, at the time, I think like 12 years. So I said, let me show people on the board that I could do something different, because sometimes you get pigeonholed into a certain category where you hit your apex and then you start peaking down. Mm-hmm. And long story short, I got her on the ballot, even with stiff opposition, even with a longest serving councilman, Rosie Mendez. She's a good friend of mine too, but even with her having her successor going against that candidate and making sure that everybody else is trying to stop us, I still was able to use my name and bring it to my little section in Midtown Manhattan, which a small pocket that had public housing, Mitchell buildings, and also affordable housing buildings. And I had that whole area wrapped up where I had my own catchment area, my own thing, and I got the signatures needed at the time to be in the ballot.
We have catchments here in Philadelphia. I want you to know.
And stuff. So when I came to Philadelphia, I had experience already. I was helping Resident Action Committee. I was consulting them for a while, joined them, helped them out with different events, handed out food over there when they were at Tasker Seniors Home on Morris and 30th Street and stuff, and told them to expand their boundaries, because a lot of times other groups are coming in here from out of the district or out of the South Philly and trying to expand their territory. So I consulted them to kind of push forward and go rally your troops, rally your base, and get back in touch with them. So long story short, after doing a lot of volunteer work over here, I even at the coffee shop over there, Great Fears Coffee Shop, I was teaching a barista class for students at needs, high school students that really were past the age of high school students. They were like 18, I think, to like 21. They keep them there longer if they're at needs, if they're not as developmentally able to be independent. Yeah. And I had, a guy named Christopher came over there, and I was teaching a barista class. I've never barista before, but I had to do, thank God for Google and stuff. And
thank God for YouTube.
And YouTube especially. And I was like, what's the history of coffee? What's the history of tea? And it was a pilot project that went on for we scheduled it for 4 weeks, but we did so well that we expanded another 2 weeks, where 2 days a week, I think it was Tuesdays and Thursdays, an hour and a half, I think, per class, and it went well. Then I also joined a Friends of Linear Park group, because in New York City, I also have my own park group, Friends of Bellevue South Park group, which helped actually get money from City Council and from the mayor, $4.6 million to do the first all ADA compliant dog run, because we had residents there saying they're in a wheelchair and they feel like they can't really get around the park that much. And even though we had a temporary dog run we put there until the main was built, they felt like they weren't part of the community because they can interact. And the dog is a good way to meet your neighbors and stuff. So when I did all that stuff in New York City, it made it easier for me to come over here and do my experience here. And I helped make the peace between the different park groups, factions they had there and stuff, because it was like I said before, there was a racial divide here. It was well known. It was and so I helped bring them together, basically tell them, listen, we're new people coming here. we don't want to be whether black or white that are coming here new. We don't want to be on this side or that side. This is 2023. This is 2022. This is 2024 now. You know, act as if you're in today's times. You know, get with the program because pretty soon you guys are going to be the minorities. Whether you're the Irish that were here before, whether you're blacks that were here before. But, you know, you guys could be the minorities there because we're moving in here so plentiful, you know, so many. So, you know, let's make this smooth transition. And they loved it. They said, okay, just as long as you're not too much on their side. They said, okay, as long as you're not too much on their side. You know, but...
everybody wants their fair share.
Exactly. You know, Philadelphia is known for its great culture and history, and it runs deep. I mean, New York City is more corporate. You know what it is, really corporate and stuff like that. But Philadelphia with small mom and pop businesses and everything, and it's just the way life, you know, used to be the way it should be because you kind of miss that, you know. But people loved my views, my politics, and my experience, and said you'd be a great candidate to run. They were disenfranchised with the former city council person at the time. Well, he was still the city council person, but he was going through a trial. He was indicted. You know, first one was a hung jury. Second one, he actually won. And I always believe that a person is innocent until proven guilty.
That's right.
So if the jury says not guilty or the feds can't find the witness who disappeared at the second trial, you know, the two witnesses, and then, you know, you're still innocent, right? Proven guilty.
Right,
but
what you can prove.
Exactly. Nonetheless, I still threw my hat in the race and had pretty good success because, you know, I was able to not just hit the area I live in right here, Great Ferries, and a lot of, you know, you do have some people here, a lot of them are Kenyatta Johnson fans. That's one of the things that surprised the opposition. They were really surprised at the fact that I was able to get on the ballot because to get on the ballot, you need 750 signatures, clean signatures, which means a person has to be a registered voter, they have to actually live here, and they have to, you know, been here for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, and I want to say something to that. Thank you. And sorry to interrupt. Clean is the way to put it. You can't just, let me think of who did I go to high school with and start writing names down. This is a legit signature proving that you're actually alive. You have a driver that you can vote, like you're a good citizen.
And you're from the area. And it made it so hard. That's one of the reasons why there was another lady called Boogie Rose that was running, a local activist, and they were kind of focusing on her as a competition. And I said, great. They won't focus on me because I'm from New York City, and while they're focused on her, I can sneak up there and
I love it.
And the whole thing was that was the hardest year to run because you just had the written moratorium that was just ending. So a lot of people were relocating, and when you relocate, you're worried about a new mailing address, so you change that. You're worried about you changing your driver's license, having your new address on it. You're worried about getting all your ID now up to date. You're not worried about going there and changing your address for your voter's registration to now some area that you just discovered a month ago because you're so desperate, like where am I gonna live, who's gonna take me, you know, doing a rent moratorium. I didn't save money aside to pay those 12 months or a year and a half worth of rent, so I'm not gonna get a good reference from my old landlord. So a lot of people ran over here, but they couldn't really vote yet because they didn't change their voter's registration. So it was kind of hard to get signatures from people that either A, lived here a long time, or people that came here before all that, before the pandemic, and, or how should I say it, people from different areas that want to see change. But I surprised them by going to areas outside around here. I was able to go to Rent House. They didn't think an African American guy could go out there. And, you know, Rent House is fair. They take you in. You got money? Hey, come here, drink a beer. I went to Schuylkill River Parks over there, near Schuylkill River Trails. I was actually in Graduate Hospital. I was Point Breeze, some areas and stuff, and the senior homes. That's a good place there. You go to senior homes, and they've been there for some of them for decades, and they're not going nowhere. And you know, and a lot of those people in the senior home too, they came from a generation where voting was taken very seriously. Mm-hmm. Especially around here, you got some that were, you know, and it's a rights movement. And so when they see a young person trying to push for voting and taking his civic duties very seriously, mm-hmm. they're impressed and they give you those signatures. But you just gotta find a way to sneak in there without security guards stopping you, you know, whether you catch them looking at TV and stuff and you sneak in there real quick when you begin to shift, or whether you know, offer them a few dollars, which I didn't do. I'm not denying or confirming, or bring a pizza pie.
Only what you can prove.
Exactly. You sneak in there, you start the top floor, you work your way down. By the time someone rats you out and calls Kenyatta Johnson's office, say, you got that guy petitioning over here, and he calls the management office and they call security and look for me, you're already done. You're out the building.
Now these are all walkable, right? Like convenient to here.
Yes.
I mean, you didn't have to drive across town. I mean, did you walk?
Yeah, the majority is walking, except sometimes I would take a car once in Blue Moon to Schuylkill River Parks, you know, Schuylkill River Trails, and go there. but that's kind of hard to find parking. But a lot of times, a good Saturday, weekend, or Sunday, take a good walk out there. That's one thing I like about Great Ferry. This South Philly, everything is still within walking distance. You don't have any train stations here. You don't have any, any shuttle lines of trains and stuff like that as well. But you do have buses that run infrequently, but it's walkable, and you got good bike trails.